You want to see my new chair? Isn't it cool? I think it came from an old ice cream parlor. My plan is to restore this to its former glory. All I need to do now is to tediously remove 3 layers of old paint and rust, make a new wooden seat, straighten out some bent metal, find some new bolts, reassemble it, then figure out a proper paint or finish. Yep, that's all I need to do. Welcome to Alley Picked. I bought this chair from a friend's storage locker in Chicago. It came in pieces just like I showed you. I think I paid 20 bucks for it. I need to get rid of as much rust as possible. Fortunately, the rust has not eaten through any spots. Since the 4 legs are connected together, I can't use the wire wheel very much. I found that the best way to remove all the old paint was using a box knife. Very tedious, but fairly effective. This green chemical is called phospho. It neutralizes the rust and converts it to iron. If you're at all familiar with my videos, you've seen me use this a lot in the past. For the seat, I still have some wood left over from my stool project. I paid 8 bucks for it. Solid piece of wood I picked up at an estate sale. 1 inch thick, 16 inches wide, and 7 feet long. I've seen similar chairs where they just pop the wood in from the bottom and leave it at that. But I think that looks bad. I plan to cut a groove in it so it sticks out through the top. Once I have all the paint scraped off, I notice that this piece here is bent. Using a little heat and a vise, I'm able to bend it back. I had these spare bolts in my stash, so once again, I don't need to buy any hardware for this project. Have you ever had a mistake work out perfectly? Let me explain, because it just happened to me. I originally made the seat to fit underneath here, to come up through the bottom and then stick out the top. That's why I put the groove here. But because I have these bolts here, I would have to hack at this until I got it to fit. It would be an ugly mess. Then I had a thought. Put it in through the top. Perfect, and it looks great. I don't think I could have had a mistake work out any better than this. Now I'm just going to carve a dip in the middle and then get my router and round off the edge. Whew, that was a lot of sanding, but I think it's well worth the extra effort to put a dip in the wood. A lot of the ice cream chairs that I've seen look completely flat, but this is going to be way more comfortable to have this extra little dip here and a nice rounded edge. Now I just have to put a little bit of wood filler on a couple spots and then figure out some stain. What color do I want to make the seat? Once I got all the paint stripped off, I noticed that there was some spots on the chair that were copper color. I believe that this chair originally was copper plated. Then over the years, it got painted. First white, then blue, and then yellow. So my original plan was to paint this thing yellow. But then I thought, if this was copper originally, I could restore this to look like copper. So I checked what spray paint I had. And then the more I thought about it, even copper spray paint looks like spray paint. But then I remembered that I have some copper patina that I use when I'm doing stained glass. So what if I applied some of this copper patina directly to the metal? Would that bring out some of the copper color? Let me show you what happened. This is a copper patina liquid made for lead solder for stained glass projects. Look what it does to the metal. Wow, that looks really good. It's like magic.
It's a miracle.
It's not perfectly restored copper, but I believe that this chair is older than I am. After the copper patina dries, it doesn't look quite as impressive, but that's okay. I have a plan to bring it back. What you're looking at is a sample that I made, and it's not a sample from my urologist. It's shellac. Here's how I made my own shellac. I bought these shellac flakes on Amazon. To help speed up the process, I take some of the flakes and put them into a Ziploc bag. Take a spray can and use it as a rolling pin to crush the flakes. Measure out 1 ounce by weight. Take a sealable jar and add 4 ounces of denatured alcohol. I often pick up these cans cheap at estate sales.
There's no way all this junk is gonna fit in that car.
No, don't worry. This is what all those hours of playing Tetris were for.
Add the 1 ounce of crushed shellac flakes, seal the jar tightly, and shake it up. When the shellac flakes are completely dissolved, it'll be ready for use. It might take an hour or longer to completely dissolve. Why not just buy shellac instead of going through all the trouble of making your own? Well, it's not all that much trouble, as you've just seen. Plus, it does save you a little bit of money. But the real benefit is in regards to shelf life. They say that shellac has a shelf life of 3 to 6 months. Now, I've used shellac older than 3 years and never really had a problem. But mixing your own shellac in small batches assures that yours is always going to be fresh and potentially will give you the best results. Plus, it's just cool to say that you made your own shellac from flakes that came from the excretions of lac bugs. Now, when I brush on the shellac, it brings out that beautiful copper look, like when it was wet. I also use the same shellac for finishing the wood seat. Since the bottom of the chair legs are metal, it's going to easily scratch the floor. I grabbed my liquid tape and coated the bottom of all 4 feet. Once dried, it seems to stick very well. The chair seat is now finished. It was not easy at all. At first I stained it. It was blotchy. I didn't like it, so I sanded it down. My second attempt, I used shellac to fill the pores, and then I put stain on top of that. I didn't like that either, so I sanded it down again. The third time, I used just shellac. I didn't brush it on. I used a technique called French polishing to apply many layers of shellac. And I have to say, this thing looks simply amazing. There's nothing quite like a shellac French polish finish. It's smooth like glass. There's no bumps and little dust particles like you get with polyurethane. It's like the body of a musical instrument. Now, I'm not very good at French polishing. I'm not good enough to teach it to you, but I will have a link in the video description to the video that I used myself to learn how to do French polishing. And now, I present to you my finished ice cream parlor chair. My ice cream parlor chair is now complete. How do you like the way it turned out? What would you have done? Would you have just left it as it was? Would you have stripped it down? You like the copper patina. Would you paint it? Put your thoughts in the comments. I'm Tom, this is Allie Picked, and thanks for watching.